Hey guys, welcome to the show. Dr. Greer has been trying to get a message out, and he's really got into it here in the last few days. Really name dropping, which he doesn't usually do, but it's got to the point where he feels that it's urgent, extremely urgent, that this message gets out. Um, the TTSA, people like Louis Elizondo and Chris Mellon and Nick Pope, um, these guys. Now, the TTSA, they had their own agenda, okay, and they recently, a bunch of them, it fell apart. Um, but there's an ongoing problem with, like Chris Pope or Chris Mellon and a couple of them whose security clearance is about ready to get pulled. And not because of working with the TTSA, because that's what they wanted to do, according to Dr. Greer. But there's another agenda which has them pushing this global terrestrial threat assessment where they're trying to, don't want to say pretend, pretend like these the ET presence or these craft that are being seen, they're trying to call it an ET presence, and it's a threat to national security. Well, see, there is some truth in that. Now, the truth part of it is these craft are a threat to national security, but these craft are not controlled by ETs. At least not the majority of them. The gimbal and the flare and the go fast and these government military videos that they pushed out, supposedly leaks. This nothing gets leaked. Okay, everything's done on purpose for a reason, and they call it a leak, but really it's a controlled brainwashing. Is what it is. Um, let's just listen to Greer for a second, and we'll talk some more.
Why is that important? Because he's all over the news, 60 Minutes, every mainstream news channel, along with his other cohorts in the cover-up, such as Leslie Keene, Nick Pope, Chris Mellon, and others, saying that we don't know what these are. Now, interestingly, he absolutely knows that some of these craft are in fact of extraterrestrial origin. He must also then know that some of them are ours. For example, the recent Jeremy Corbell interview on Fox News, where they were showing these triangles of swarming men.
Okay, let's talk about Corbell just for a second before we let Greer take a break here. Now, Corbell has dropped a couple of videos recently. Huge controversy on Corbell's videos. You got that now I posted a video on this a couple weeks ago. I think it was probably the last video I done. Now guys, some of us have to work for a living, some of us have families, and some of us don't live at home with their parents that are 40, 50, 60 years old. Had my own place since I was 17, since college, and haven't been back home since. And so that's just the way it works in real life. You get out, you go to college, or maybe college and the military, and then you continue on with life. And then over those years, when you start getting up in your 30s, you start building a base of life knowledge, which is unprecedented. And looking back now, kids that are, 17, 18, through their mid-20s, maybe even late 20s. Some of them are late bloomers, especially boys or men. Stay immature, but you get that life knowledge, and you learn what the real world's about, and who's, especially in this field, and you can see who's pushing what agenda, and how sometimes people's pushing one story. They see something one way, but they let their friends and cohorts and maybe panel members um, pop on, and then kind of control their own show that they're trying to do, and pushing a different agenda, which they totally might not agree with. And you can see that by just watching these people. Now, I'm not calling out no names here, but a lot of you guys know who I'm talking about, and exactly what I'm talking about right this second. Um, but I say, stick to your guns, and what you believe is what you need to get your own agenda across. Don't flop into someone else's just because you think they're cool when they're really not. But let's listen to Greer some more.
Seen our Navy ships. Every one of those pyramid, triangular-shaped objects with flashing light on them are from either Northrop Grumman or Boeing or the Lockheed, most likely Northrop Grumman. Those are man-made UFOs. They're anti-gravity vehicles. Everyone in the aerospace industry at any level of clearance knows this. So this is a big problem. So I told Mr. Sheehan, I said, look, you have to be very careful. If you're going to work with this gentleman, you have to understand that he is a master of disinformation. I am quoting from a senior CIA official who wrote me about this.
Okay, now, when it comes to disinformation, I like to call it DIA, Disinformation Agency, a lot of people try to do that, especially when it comes to YouTube, and they try to push this threat and make sightings out of nothing. Um, the hoaxers. Well, we ain't talking about that. What we're talking about is these tic tacs and some of these triangles that we see and sometimes get captured on grainy video. Um, and I've said this all along because it's just the way it is. These are our own private technology sector crafts. Our government, I believe, have these, but you would have to be on the top of the top and buried in black projects to be the one of the few people who know that. But there's private organizations that have this technology. It's what they do, and they've had it for a while. And some of them are reverse engineered from crashed, reverse engineered alien technology. Um, and we've been working on this for 40, 50 years. And you ain't gonna know about it. The average military person doesn't know about it. I certainly didn't until, fairly recently. Of course, didn't care that much about it at one point in time. Was doing my own thing. But now that's what you see. You have to understand what you see and what you hear and interpret it the correct way and find your own and see who's reliable. The reliable sources, they're hard to come by. Everybody has a sketchiness to them. Even Dr. Greer, it's what he says is sketchy, and now a lot of his His science is based on consciousness, and that's been said for millennia. You know, the way into communication through deep consciousness states. That's how a lot of these ETs supposedly communicate. You know, some other people who've been um, taken, we'll call it, that's how they were communicated to. They were sent a message, beamed right into their head. It's the simplest way to put it.
When they first emerged after Unacknowledged came out in 2017. And of course, Daniel Sheehan knows this. He told me point blank, yes, we know this. The main reason he's working with them is to represent him and to get him to come clean. So it's a very interesting strategy.
Okay, the interesting strategy. No one's going to come clean. And when it comes to this 180-day disclosure thing, when government's going to drop this more information, it's not going to happen. Everybody has their own theory, and I listened to some people last night who was talking about it, and like it just drove me nuts. I didn't even want to input my 2 cents because we're not going to get anything other than what we have. It's not going to be nothing exciting especially to the ones of us who are doing this and trying to get the information out. To the average American or a person in the world, maybe they'll get a little bit something from this. But we're going right up to the last minute. And so, I mean, that tells you right there. This ain't like going to the Super Bowl, where you have a couple months to build the hype up for the big game. Like they can drop why couldn't they do it last week or 2 weeks ago, a month ago, or any time previously? So it's not going to be anything big we're going to get. It's just nuts to think that we're going to get some type of. A lot of people think we're going to get this super close image of some type of craft and be able to see the ET inside of it. Ain't going to happen. Will not happen. Now, the TTSA and Luis Elizondo, his whole absolute mission was the disinformation. That's what their absolute goal was, and what he had done for the last several years. Is to pretend that there's a threat. And we don't know what they are. But you might as well just, whenever you hear something, just flip it around and believe the opposite of what they tell you. Because that's the way it is.
Presenting the sort of the tip of the spear of disinformation going out to the media, which is, of course, Luis Elizondo, who was sent on this mission. My understanding is, people are complex. I think both Chris Mellon and Luis Elizondo regret what they've done. We also know that there are other.
All right, I don't believe it. They regret what they've done. They don't care. They made money, and they can go anywhere and talk to anybody, and they'll listen to them even though they might not believe them, and make even more money. You guys, tell me what you think, especially when it comes to what Dr. Greer is saying, and the end of this 180-day countdown to disclosure crap. Do you think we're going to get something big? Really? Just tell me down in the comments if you think that's going to happen. And if you don't, let me hear it. Guys, give a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.